707, that was Calvin Harris right there with Summer. You are listening to AFN Tokyo with me, Senior Airman Kellen Carr, and we have a special broadcast right now. We're going all out throughout Japan, listening in Okinawa, Sasebo, Misawa, Iwakuni, and also in Tokyo, because we have the United States Forces Japan Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent in the studio with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and I don't know if they're going all over Japan just for me. I think they're doing that for you.
No, they're definitely doing this for you, sir.
Doing this for me. They don't do this all the time. All right. Well, hello out there to all of Japan.
Absolutely, sir. And, we got some big things to talk about on today's show, to include the new defense guidelines.
That was big news. That's really big news that I want to hit a little bit on, yes.
Absolutely. And then the COLA survey, which is active now until May 22nd.
You know, as I travel out through the AOR and do my visits, that's probably the number one question I have is how come our COLA's dropped? So I'll talk a little bit about that and what we can do now to help with that.
Absolutely, we'll be talking about that. But, sir, what have you been up to lately? I know you just got back from Hawaii.
You like the tan? You got a little bit of tan on me here. I just got back from Hawaii. I had a great trip out there. We were there for the PACAF conference, the Commanders and Command Chiefs conference, and got a good idea of what's going on in the Air Force side of things and business. Got to meet the incoming commander, General Dolan, and his wife Nancy. Great people, and talk about things that are going on in the Air Force. So that was really good. And I also got to take a week of leave afterwards and spend some time there just kind of hanging out in Hawaii, so it was fun.
Well, that's good on you, because I know you are a very busy man, but that's big news right there. You'll be getting to meet Major General Dolan, who will be replacing Lieutenant General Sam Angelella.
Yes, and actually, General Angelella was supposed to be here. He really wanted to come here and talk some of the things the topics we're going to hit on, but he wanted to be here and spend some time. But actually, I think he's in the air right now, flying over the Pacific Ocean, coming back from the Defense Guidelines Review, being a part of that. So
absolutely. Well, folks, again, stay tuned, because we got some big news talking new defense guidelines, the U.S.-Japan alliance, and also COLA survey. That's a huge one that everyone wants to hear about. That's all coming up here in a moment. But we're going to get back to the music. Here's Katy Perry with Roar. 716 Modest Mouse right there with Lampshades on Fire. Hey, it's Senior Airman Kellen Carr here from AFN Tokyo, and also joined in the studio by United States Forces Japan Command Chief James Laurent. So, sir, we got you in the studio. We got to talk about these topics. And
you guys got to look at him. You guys wish you could see him right now, because he is so nervous, because he knows I'm going to pick on him about something. I got to go back to this Katy Perry song that you played in the first one here, because you went to the concert.
I went to a Katy Perry concert, a couple days ago.
And I think you're in love with the lady, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm madly in love. That's my future ex-wife.
That's your future ex-wife. Okay,
absolutely.
Just want to clarify that. So.
You couldn't let that go.
I could not let that go. Right. So you had that smile. I had to let you get past that stage.
All right, well, check it out, sir. We got to talk to you about the new defense guidelines. April 27th was a pretty historic day for the U.S. and Japan alliance. Can you talk to us about that?
It was. You know, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense on the U.S. side, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Defense from the Japanese side met in New York City on that day, on the 27th, and actually officially signed the defense guidelines for the U.S. and Japan alliance. And that's pretty important, because we haven't really reviewed those and updated those since 1997. And so it's been quite a long time since we've since we've done that. And those guidelines basically set the foundation for how we are going to work together as an alliance between the United States forces in Japan and Japan forces. And so it's really important for us to be able to get through that. And, you know, there's a lot of things that have changed since 1997. You know, what we're looking at, what we're focused on, different security dynamics in the region. You know, initially they were started kind of looking at North Korea and the missile threat from North Korea. Well, that's compounded over those years, over that time, and it's a significantly different missile threat and different threat coming out of North Korea right now. And there's also other pieces that have added on to that, too. And so looking at space and cyber and how we can interact in those new domains that are really serious threats throughout the world and concerns throughout the world. So I think it's really important that we were able to get through this, and it took a lot of work and a lot of effort on a lot of folks' parts to get through this.
Absolutely, sir. And so what does this mean for service members that are stationed in Japan?
Well, I think that what it does is it provides us with a better chance for the service members. You know, we do a really good job, I think, across Japan of building on our alliance and cooperating and doing exercises together and doing some of that stuff. But I think it gives us a little better direction on what we can do, and it also gives us some broader ideas on how we can cooperate and work together. It expands out Japan's ability to be able to defend U.S. forces if something should happen where we're under attack, and while we're protecting Japan, it expands the opportunity for them to be able to protect us. It also expands Japan's capabilities to be able to go out and can deploy into other regions of the world. So it gives them kind of a worldwide perspective on how they're going to deploy and how we can join them and maybe get into these, not only take these into bilateral engagements, but as well as possibly into multinational engagements that we go through. So I think that's really important for us. I think you're going to see the difference in the way the alliance is exercising as we go through each of these different iterations, because we have to look at this now. In each exercise we look at it, we're looking at it from a different lens because of these new guidelines. And so we'll look at that differently, and we're going to be able to evaluate how we want to exercise and change the way we exercise just based off of these new capabilities that we have or new opportunities that we have to work together as an alliance.
Absolutely. So you can definitely expect more of the U.S. and Japanese partnership during these exercises while you're out in the Pacific.
Right. And as I said, this is also going into new domains that we haven't. Japan has stood up a cyber command, and they're working on that now, which, again, as I've mentioned before, is a pretty serious concern that we have across the United States. And so being able to coordinate and work with them on cyber and intelligence and different things, and then going into space, which, again, is another new area, and coordinate on what's going on. It's not just about cooperation in those areas, but it's also about being able to share information and how we're able to do that and what information we can share so that we can better take care of protecting what we're supposed to be doing, the missions that we have, and taking care of the missions that we have.
Absolutely, sir. And as far as that is concerned, is there anything else that people need to really know about the new defense guidelines without getting too much into the mud, so to speak?
Well, I think as we go through this, I think we really have to take the opportunity. I would ask every service member out there that when we have the opportunity to work in engagements and exercises with our Japan counterparts, regardless of which branch of service we are, what branch of service they're in, I think we need to really work at that, and we need to take advantage of that, learn from them as to what their capabilities are and what they can do, and then partnering with us, we can also share some of our experiences and what we've done. And I'll tell you, we've done that very well in the past, and I think this is going to increase our capabilities to be able to do that. If you look at the typhoon that happened down in the Philippines,
yeah.
several years last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago? I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, typhoon, high end.
Yes.
High.
And if you look at that, the Japanese did respond to that with us, and we're able to support that operation. And now we've got the earthquake in Nepal, and I know the Japanese are responding to that as well as the United States has a couple of ready forces that are going there now and preparing to get ready for it if we should need to. So they're already doing that a little bit, but I think this new guidelines will provide us a better opportunity to share information and prepare for those things if they should happen.
Most definitely, sir. But stay tuned, folks, because we're going to have more from Command Chief James Laurent. We're going to be talking here in a moment about the COLA survey, sir. Now, this is something that a lot of people are itching to hear about.
Ouch.
And we have to dive into it because it is now active until Friday, May the 22nd, folks. And we'll be talking about where you can go to get more information on it and all of that coming up here in a bit. But
absolutely.
We take a little musical break.
Take a break. All right. That sounds good. Who we got coming up?
We got 1975 right here with Chocolate. 729 DJ Snake featuring Aluna George right there with You Know You Like It. Hey, it's Kellen here, Senior Airman Kellen Carr, here from AFN Tokyo, and we're broadcasting live throughout Japan in Okinawa, Sasebo, Misawa, Iwakuni, and Tokyo because we have the United States Forces Japan Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent in the studio with us, and we talked about new defense guidelines, April 27th, big day.
Big day.
But now it's time to talk about the 2015 Overseas Cost of Living Allowance and the Living Patterns Survey.
Yes. Well, I tell you, as I said earlier at the start of the show, that every time I circulate out through the command, probably the number one question I get is how come our COLA's dropped so much? And we were talking during the break. When I got to Japan, the COLA rate was the yen rate was 79 yen to the dollar. Now It's up to 116. So that's a significant difference in what our buying power is. And so we're been looking at it for quite a few, for probably the last 6 to 8 months, trying to figure out what we can do with this COLA, and I think we've got a plan ahead to work through it. Absolutely.
So I got to ask, when we're talking about the difference and the significant difference, there's about 77, 79 whenever I got here as well.
Right.
And so how is COLA, how exactly is it determined, and does the yen rate affect it?
Well, do we have like a 3-hour or 4-hour show? I could get through all that stuff with you.
You got about 30 minutes left.
About 30 minutes left. All right. Well, actually, there's a couple things that we do to determine COLA, and the COLA is actually determined at the Defense Travel Management Office back in D.C. in the Pentagon area. But the way it's worked out is there's a couple surveys that we do throughout the world that fill into that. So you got the living pattern survey that we have that we're starting one this today. As a matter of fact, it started out, and then you have a shopping. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a shopping patterns or shopping survey where we send people out to look at those areas that in the living pattern survey, you tell us where you buy everything that you buy, off base, on base, ComServe, BX, wherever it is. You tell us where you buy your stuff, and then we send a team out in the other survey that goes out to those locations and prices everything and gets a price of everything. That information is calculated or sent back to DITMO, calculated along with the yen rate and a couple other factors that go into it, and that determines what the COLA rate is. Now, after those two surveys are done, one of the living pattern survey is only done once every 3 years, and we're doing this one a year early just to try to make sure that we got the right data. And then the shopping pattern survey, the shopping survey that we do, the pricing survey, that's done every year. Once that's calculated, it kind of sets the standard for the year, but the yen rate is what fluctuates that. So as the yen rate fluctuates up and down, that will change your COLA rate throughout the year. So it's kind of a mess that way. And so what we've done is we brought some of the folks in from the DITMO, the Defense Travel Management Office. We brought them in to do some training with all of our folks that have it at the different installations throughout Japan that are involved in the COLA process, particularly the ones that are going to go out and do the pricing survey. And so we did some training with them. We asked them some questions about how these surveys have been done in the past and what they've done, just to make sure that we were all doing it the same way, because there's some significant differences between installations at times. And so we worked pretty hard to figure that out. We found some things that, we think that if we fix this, and DITMO's working on some things that they can do at their level to be able to make sure that we're getting the accurate amount. COLA is set to give us the same buying power that we would have if we were living in the United States. And so we're not confident right now that what we're getting is that right amount, because these surveys have changed and the COLA rates changed, or the yen rate has changed so much. And so we've done some things to work on how those surveys are completed and some of the data that is going to be included in those surveys. And then the other piece of that is we've got to redo the surveys now. And so the first part is this living pattern survey, and that is for everybody to participate in. And all your family members out there, check with your family members. If you don't do the shopping in your house, it's probably better to have your spouse that does the shopping sit down with you and do the survey, because she knows or he knows where they do their shopping at, where they buy their stuff, and what they do. And that's the first piece of this. And we're going to follow that up. I don't know if it's going to be next month or the month after when we do the shopping survey, where we'll send the specific teams out to price everything. And then probably towards the fall is when the effect of all that stuff will be all calculated, and the effect of that will come out with the matched up with the yen rate.
I feel like you just hit me with the statistics in the economics class.
You have to have a PhD in math. When I went through it, and I just gave you the 101 version of it, and I've been through a little bit more extensive on it. But it is a very complicated process. And what I want to do is, and what I told the folks at the DITMO office and the folks at USFJ who really kind of manage this for all of Japan, is I want to have the confidence in the system that we have, that when I go out and I talk to folks, whether they like it or not, what the rate is that they have, that I have confidence that the data that was used for that is accurate, and they're getting the correct amount based off of what the process is for getting COLA. That's what, and what we control as individual airmen, individual soldier sailors, airmen, and Marines is we control what data goes into that. If we don't participate in the surveys, the data is not going to be as accurate. And so we need as many people as possible to participate in this survey. And it's going from the 1st through the 21st, I think, or 22nd?
22nd, yes, 22nd. And while you're talking about participating, who all is eligible for this? Is it just service members? Is it civilians? Who else?
For this particular one, it's just military members, service members. This is not tied to the civilian COLA rates. This is just for the service member, the military service member COLA rates. So if you're a civilian, this one's not for you. This survey's not for you. It is just for our military members. That's
absolutely. Correct. And, while we're talking about the difference in the yen rate going up and all that, and it gets very complicated in there, way above my head. Mm-hmm. But also, what can people expect from this? Or when will they see the changes actually come through?
I think they'll see them in the fall, because it usually takes quite a bit of time to get it calculated. Because once the surveys are completed, each of the components that gets the data, provides it to USFJ, we'll take a look at it, make sure that there's no problems with it, that there's nothing that we think may need to be re-looked at, and then we forward it up to DITMO. Then we got to do the second survey, and again, the same process of that. We kind of compare and do some things and make sure to validate the information and make sure it's accurate, and then we send it up to DITMO as well, and then they'll do their calculations up there to make sure that it's again, they'll double check our work to make sure that it's accurate, and there's no issues with it, and then they'll send it out. So it's probably going to be in the fall that we'll see the difference. The unfortunate piece of this is we can't predict what the difference is going to be because we don't know what the shopping patterns have. I suspect that the shopping patterns have changed because of the yen rate change. Probably more people are shopping off base because, when the yen rate's as high as it is, our buying power off base is a lot better. And so I suspect that some of the shopping patterns have changed, and that's why we are doing this survey a little bit early. And again, at the end of the day, what I want to be able to do is in the fall when this comes out, I want to be able to say if the yen rate, if our COLA goes up or if it goes down, I want to be able to say with confidence that we have done our best that we can to make sure that we're getting the most accurate, the right amount of COLA based off of our shopping needs that we have.
So we're looking for max participation out there, folks.
Max participation. We need, and we'll track it. We won't know who's participating. There's nothing to track that mechanism, but there is a tracking mechanism to say 35 soldiers at Camp Zama participated in this, or 150 Marines at Camp Hansen participated in it. So we'll know numbers, and we'll be able to go out. I'll working with the senior enlisted leaders from each of the components to make sure that as those numbers are not high, not low, whatever, we'll go back and we'll say, hey, reemphasize this and keep pushing it and making sure we do it. We only have 3 weeks to complete it, so we need to get on it today. And it only takes about I think it's anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes, I think, or something like that. I've heard.
Yeah, they say estimate time 40 to 50 minutes,
yeah.
But
I heard somebody yesterday tell me it took about 20 minutes to do the survey,
they try to give it on the long side. They're going to tell you the max time it will take. So yeah, it definitely could be a lot shorter than that. So folks,
and as I said, I think it's important if you don't do the shopping in your house, then you're probably not the right person to do that. Sit down. You can log on from your home computer. And do that with your spouse that does the shopping, and let them say, hey, no, I don't buy eggs here. I buy eggs over there, and do that. So.
Again, you have from now until May 22nd. Of course, if you want any more information on it, make sure you check out your base's Facebook page. They got all the information on there in regards to the COLA survey. And I know we could talk about that forever, but is there anything else, any pertinent information that you wanted to get out there?
Again, as we said, we just want to make sure that everybody participates in this, and we'll try to do our best to make sure that we're getting the right amount of COLA.
Absolutely. Well, folks, stay tuned. We're going to have more from the United States Forces Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent. That's coming up after Rihanna, Kanye West, and Paul McCartney. Here's 4 or 5 seconds. 7:45. We had Taylor Swift right there with her latest single from her album 1989 with Style. Hey, it's AFN Tokyo. You're listening to me, Senior Airman Kellen Carr, and also the United States Forces Japan Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent. Been hanging out with me this hour and you've been hitting up a lot of really important stuff. The new defense guidelines, COLA, and I guess now we can talk some safety. It's getting warm outside.
Talk some safety stuff, and I'm looking at the TV here. We're getting ready to start the NFL draft, and I know you're a Chiefs fan. So,
absolutely.
So who are you hoping you get picked up?
The Chiefs. We need a receiver. We need somebody on the other side of Jeremy Maclin. I'll take somebody like a Dorial Green Beckham. Mm-hmm. Came out of Mizzou. He was the #1 high school recruit in the nation when he came out his senior year. Got in a little bit of trouble at Mizzou, went over to Oklahoma, but he's 6'5", about 230. I actually got to see this kid in high school because it was before I joined the military. I used to work with high school kids, and I actually got a chance to see him play. Team I was working with, Webb City Cardinals, we actually beat him on the way to the state championship, so no big deal or anything. But he's a phenomenal player. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. But
I'm sure that, I'm a diehard Saints fan, so I'm hoping that we pick up some defensive players. We need some line, I think, to help us out on our pass rushing things. But I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are really kind of wondering right now. They probably have TVs on just like you do in the office here with the draft thing and trying to figure out who their teams are, who they're gonna get picked up and stuff like that. So yeah,
I gotta ask you, Winston or Mariota? Who would you take?
I would probably take Mariota.
Exactly. I got to go with you on that. Winston makes too many bad decisions, but anyway.
And that's the way it goes sometimes, and that brings us to safety because last year the Saints got a safety, so we'll go right into. That's what made me think about it, safety. So, I saw this disturbing video a couple days ago. We had a motorcycle accident in Okinawa, and the guy who was driving the bike had a helmet cam on. And I saw some pictures off of this, and you could see the accident as it was coming in, and just a couple shots that were taken off the camera. And it's just, that kind of opened my eyes to, he was doing all the right things. The accident was certainly at that point doesn't look like it was his fault. It was another vehicle that was involved. But as you look at that, you kind of think, wow, you just don't know what's going to happen, outside of your controls. And so as we come into, this month, we're going to come into the 120 days or the summer days of safety. I think that we have to make sure that we're doing everything that we can for personally to make sure that we're staying safe and we're doing everything that we can to protect ourselves and taking all the proper measures that we need to take care of ourselves. Because a tragic loss, and this airman was injured pretty severely. He's not. He hasn't passed away. He doesn't. He's looking like he's going recover from it with some injuries, but it's just a tragedy that whenever we lose an airman, soldier, sailor, or Marine due to an accident, especially if it's preventable, and they're not taking the measure that they need to protect themselves.
Yeah, another big one is water safety. People out there and they do the water sports, or they're on boats and whatnot, and the drinking and everything, and that usually leads to some problems as well.
There's always that joke that you hear about people, taking a drink and then handing it to their friends. Say, "Here, hold my drink while and watch this."
Watch this, exactly.
So you got to be careful about that. And I'm not trying to say people shouldn't be drinking. I'm just saying just drink responsibly and be careful with what you're doing as you're doing that, and making sure that you're not putting yourself at risk as you're going through that. Water safety was a big one for us last year. We had a couple tragedies, quite a few. Last year that were really devastating, particularly down in Okinawa in that area. But the risk is everywhere, where you go to. So you just got to make sure that you're careful, you know what you're doing, you have a plan, and you have somebody else with you that can help you out and if you're about to make a bad decision, you need somebody there that can grab you by the collar and say, "Hey, bad decision, let's pull you back. No, I'm not going to hold your beer. Let me pull you back instead and keep you from doing something that's going to cause problems for us." So.
And that's what, it all goes back to being, a good a good wingman, a good battle buddy, a good shipmate, whatever your term is. It's just being a good friend, a good person overall, looking out for each other.
It absolutely is, and it's a leadership issue. From the perspective of that, I look at it as a leader. It's my responsibility to know what you're doing. So, Kellen, if I know that you're going out and you're doing things that are putting yourself at risk and you're not willing to take the actions that need to prevent that from happening, it's my responsibility as leader to sit you down, talk to you about that, and make sure I do everything I possibly can to make sure that I mitigate those risks and force you to mitigate those risks that you don't want to do yourself. And it's about knowing what you're doing. And if you don't know what the shipmate that you have or the Marine that you have that you work with, your battle buddy, whatever that is, your wingman, if you don't know what they're doing over the weekends and what their plans are, you need to find out. That's leadership 101. You have to be able to find out what they're doing. As a leader, you need to know that. You need to be able to help them make wise decisions as they're going through that, because some people don't make wise decisions, and you need to be able to have that ability to help them with that.
Absolutely. I thrift shop and go to Katy Perry concerts, so I think we're good.
I know you. I hear that, and I think I see this Hello Kitty doll that you got at the thrift store or something like that, and it's very nice. It is very nice.
Is there anything else that you want to put out there in regards to safety?
I just ask that all the leaders out there take the time to make sure you take it seriously. You talk to your folks and help them, because again, it's a tragedy anytime we lose any service member, and we don't want to have that happen.
All right, well, folks, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be wrapping up this hour with the United States Forces Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent here in a moment. But first, more music for you. Here's Becky G with Can't Stop Dancing. 7:58, that was Maroon 5 right there with Sugar. And we're wrapping up our hour here with the United States Forces Japan Command Chief Master Sergeant James Laurent. And, sir, always a pleasure having you in the studio.
Well, it's always fun too. We usually have a pretty good time. We mess with each other a little bit, the Hello Kitty things and the Carrie Perry dolls and all that other stuff that I'm sure you have. But this is kind of a bittersweet month for me and for the command, I believe, because as I said earlier at the beginning of the show, Lieutenant General Sam Angelella is getting ready to retire. We'll do his change of command coming up in just over a month. And, he's done a great job, I think, in serving the service members here in Japan. And we're going to miss him. He's on a plane right now coming back from D.C., I think.
Absolutely. And that's going to be on, what, June 5th?
June 5th, yeah. Friday, June 5th, I believe is the date. And should be a great thing. We're going to do it out at the hangar that we normally do changes of command here at Yokota.
Absolutely.
And send him off in a good way.
And be welcoming in Major General Dolan.
Major General Dolan. He's right now serving as the PACOM Chief of Staff and working up in Hawaii right now. So he should be getting in here a day or two before that and getting settled in. And I think we're going to send him on the road immediately to start doing business for the command. So.
Well, you definitely stay busy over there at the United States Forces Japan Command Office. And again, we do appreciate all of your hard work and you coming in here today and answering some pretty tough questions as far as the new defense guidelines, or giving us information as far as the new defense guidelines. And then the COLA, you gave me a straight lesson on that.
Well, I think, with the defense guidelines, I think there's some things that, as junior folks, as we look at this stuff, sometimes we wonder whether that's really important to us, but it really is, because the effect of that is going to help is going to affect us all the way down to our most junior folks. And so I think that's good. Nicola always is a concern that we're trying to work on. And as we go through the next little bit of time, I know you're on your last days. I just mentioned General Angelello is going out, but Kellen's going out as well. And for those of you out there, I know not everybody that's on the other side of the radio right now gets to hear him, but those that do really appreciate all the work that you do, and can't thank you for your service enough, Kellen.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, sir. And now it's time for your AP Radio News.